And we're live. Let's see. What's up? PS Savage, you're already on the Jumbotron. You're already on the big screen. Brooklyn Nets 11. I think I need to make those a little bigger so people can see them. Bubble. It is what it is. And I think we can move around a little bit like that, like that. I think I want to keep it there like this. Okay, let's see. We can get a couple people in the chat. We got 4 people in the chat. This is a little earlier. I know I usually do them around like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Here we go. I got to talk all y'all off the ledge after that loss. That one hurt. That one hurt. Yeah, this is the NBA. You heard what KD said. It's a make or miss league. It happens every night.
Yeah.
Wait till y'all see the clips and the stuff that I got loaded up for y'all today. Because honestly, I was sitting in my house watching that one. And when Spencer hit it, I was like, touche. I'm like, it would be him. And I've seen him do that. He just did that to the Celtics. He just did that to the Celtics. And he used to do that for us. I've been in Barclays Live watching him do that. And I clipped some of that for y'all. So
that's right.
How'd y'all forget? Like, tech guy with a jumper. That's Ocho. That's number 8. He used to do the same thing here. Y'all loved it when he did it for us. That's payback.
It's definite payback. I mean, and he looked at the bench and he was like, bam, So,
what up, Will? Will, you ready to get that Ben Simmons jersey? You want that Ben Simmons jersey so you can rock Simmons on the back? Salute, Nets talk. KD still the GOAT. I don't care what nobody says. Facts, say that. Spencer hurt my feelings last night. Yes, good for him. Good for him. Spencer hurt my feelings when he got hurt last year and he couldn't play.
That's right. Right, exactly.
All righty. We got enough people in the chat. Let's take this from the top. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Talking Nets episode 157. Kyrie 60-point game and a Spencer buzzer beater. Forget all that. It's March. It's Women's History Month. So I've got 2 Nets World women on the pod with me. Shout out to Marsh. She was supposed to join us. She's working. School got in the way. It's okay. Maybe she'll join the chat. But we're going to talk about the last 2 games. We're going to talk about this mandate now affecting the Mets and the Yankees. We're going to talk about Ben Simmons getting an epidural and KD getting fined pretty soon. It hasn't happened yet, but it's on the way. Talking Nets episode 157. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets, episode 157, a special guest episode. I know I've been taking a break from having guests. I was able to book 2 fine young ladies today, and I'd like to introduce them to you and let them introduce themselves. To my left is Alita. Alita, say hello to everyone. Tell them where you're from, how you became a Nets fan.
What's up, Nets World? I'm Alita. So I am from Bergen County, New Jersey. I grew up right in the shadow of, at the time, Continental Airlines Arena. Went to the games with my dad. So I just grew up in that Jason Kidd and Kenny Martin, Richard Jefferson era. So I've just been riding with the Nets ever since.
Nice. Now, beneath me is like one of the OGs of the Nets world, almost like the godmother of the Brooklyn Brigade, the BK block. I always make sure to go pay my respects and give her a hug, embrace her when I enter the game. Dawn, she's an OG Nets fan. Dawn, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dawn Rasueño. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I've been a Nets fan since the early 1990-91 season when Petrovic, Derek Coleman, and the rest of them guys played back then. Ride or die and everything. Got 3 generations of Net fans with my son, my daughter, and my grandkids in there. So still around.
You know what? I love that, right? That's powerful. She's a Nets fan, and they say there's no Nets fans, so she made some Nets fans.
That's right.
Shout out to Will. Will is in the chat. He said, we're watching, checking out my mom. Will was on a couple episodes ago. He's a Nets fan. I was just with Will in the block on Sunday. And we won't bury the lead. I see y'all in the chat. We got a bunch of people in the chat. What's up, everybody? Don't worry about that game last night. What's up, Julia? Let's get right into it. Okay, so I'd like to start with the injuries. One thing I felt last night was if we had Seth Curry and or Kyrie, that's not even a game. They doubled KD the whole game, and we needed another scorer. It was good to see Dragic step up a bit, Claxton, Drummond, a couple other guys. But us not having Seth Curry right now with that ankle, he's been out the last few games. That hurts. Then Cam Thomas didn't have a great game, but he's still probably bothered by that back contusion. He's just probably trying to champ it out because he's young. LaMarcus Aldridge is also out. And that leads me to our first topic of the day today. One, Ben Simmons. I don't know how to feel about Ben Simmons anymore. Ben Simmons got an epidural injection to relieve back pain. And at first I had thought, like, okay, maybe this is just the Nets covering something up, or maybe this is just the Nets prolonging him so that he doesn't have to play against the Sixers. Now that I'm hearing he's getting an epidural, I'm like, okay, this is a legit injury, and this guy may not play. Woj reported on it, and, Nets fans had to deal with that yesterday. Woj said, Brooklyn Nets all-star Ben Simmons has remained sidelined with an irritation of the L4 disc of the lower spine, and hope remains he can return for a couple of regular season games prior to the Eastern Conference playoffs. Now, in my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This team is starting to look better. This team is starting to play better, obviously with KD going crazy, obviously with Kyrie going crazy, but our role players have started to gel and play better too. And Bruce Brown is the guy that would come out when we put Ben Simmons in. And I like how Bruce has played. How do you guys feel? We'll start with you, Alita. How do you feel about Ben Simmons back, this epidural, and whether he's going to play or not?
Yeah, I don't know how to feel. I mean, in the beginning, like you said, the Nets, they're not transparent at all when it comes to injuries. And so I was kind of like, they're keeping him out for the Philly game. He'll slowly ramp up after that and he'll be back. But, with this news of the epidural, I mean, that's something like you're pulling out all the stops. You're kind of trying everything at this point, a little Hail Mary to try to get him back. I think the way I'm thinking about it right now is just that whatever he gives, if he can come back and contribute, should be looked at as like a bonus. Because like you said, we're kind of rolling right now. So, obviously Spencer kind of hit us with the dagger last night, but before that, we've been putting up historic numbers and we're doing well. I honestly think, I hate to say it, but if Kyrie doesn't come back, I don't know about Ben really being all that, positive or negative. It kind of all hinges on Kyrie. But if Ben could give us anything, you take it, I guess, but I'm not depending on him.
Dawn, what about you?
Epidurals are a big deal. I mean, I've had 2 back surgeries, fusion, epidurals, and everything. And you see, I still walk with a cane and everything. So it's really hard to judge what that epidural is going to do for him, if anything, which leads to me to say that it's probably more serious than what they're talking about right now. And I don't see him coming back this season. But we really do need Kyrie to come in, because if we don't have Ben and we don't have Kyrie and our first round is maybe playing the Raptors, we're screwed because we won't have him at all for the away games too. So it's going to be a big deal not getting him back.
Now that brings us to our next point, right? So, I mean, what I'll say on Ben is this for the Nets fans that might be worried about that. I want to say that the Nets knew about his back. They knew about his potential, injury stopping him from returning. Like, this isn't going to surprise the Nets too much. That's why they got Seth. That's why they got Drummond. That's why they also got 2 picks. it's like insurance right now. When you look across down I-95 to Philly, and you look at what they're dealing with, they barely beat the Cavaliers last night. They barely beat the Magic on Sunday. They lost to the Nuggets. The Sixers fans are kind of souring on James Harden already. And we're not surprised.
We told them.
We've seen this.
We told them.
So in my opinion, even if Ben Simmons does not play, we still won the trade. And we'll see how the playoffs shake out. Now, this is a perfect segue. Alita mentioned this really hinging on Kyrie, right? Like Kyrie coming back full time, I think we're a contender. Ben Simmons coming back or not coming back, I don't think is going to be much of a factor. We have guys that can do what he does, right? I mentioned Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown will shoot the three. Bruce Brown can score the ball some. I think he's obviously not better than Ben Simmons, but I think he's fine for the role that he's playing. Now, what we're dealing with in New York this week, unvaccinated Yankees and Mets can't play at home under current NYC rules. I thought there was a chance that this could happen. And Randy Levine is on the case for the Yankees. And one thing I'll say before we go around the horn here is the Nets are one thing in this city. The Yankees and the Mets are a complete different thing.
Oh, different.
They're not looked at the same. They're not treated the same. And they won't be treated the same as far as how Kyrie was treated. I hope this is what happens. I think there's two things that could happen. I hope that they just say, hey, athletes are exempt moving forward. And that includes Kyrie. But I think there's a scary chance that they have such a vendetta against this man, that they hate this man and want to make an example out of him and punish the Nets organization and fan base, where they say, we're making exemptions for these ballparks, Citi Field and Yankee Stadium, where our baseball teams will be good to play. But that's not going to happen for Barclays Center and Kyrie Irving. They already amended this once. I think there's a chance they do it again. And I say that because I thought it was really strange how when Eric Adams talked about Kyrie on Saturday, a heckler was saying, let Kyrie play. And he said, Kyrie can play tomorrow. Get vaccinated. And then in regards to these baseball players and the baseball team, he says, oh, baseball's a few weeks away. We got time for that. We got time to figure that all out.
Yeah.
You had all this time to figure this out for Kyrie. When you dropped the mandate on March 7th, there should have been a drop in the mandate for Kyrie to play. But instead, Kyrie had to come to the games on Saturday for his college team and then Sunday for the Nets game. And he didn't show up last night. I think, it made national news. How do you guys feel about the Mets and the Yankees and like the difference in optics and treatment and words that we're seeing already and where this could go? Alita, you can go first.
Sure.
You want to go? Go ahead.
Yeah. It's tough, right? Because I tend to agree with you, Keith. I'm trying to read the tea leaves here a little bit, and I'm not that optimistic that this is going to be, the Yankees and the Mets kind of flexing their muscles and getting a change for everybody. I think if you listen to Eric Adams yesterday, his tone was much more softened towards the baseball versus even just what he said a couple of weeks ago. He's completely about face. He at first had admitted that this mandate really doesn't make sense, for Kyrie, and how he was I think he used the words like, I'm struggling with this or something like that. Now, all of a sudden, he kind of changed his tune. I'm trying to remain hopeful, but I feel like what they're going to do is just make an outdoor exemption for the Yankees and the Mets, stating that they play outdoors, which we all know is kind of bogus because the facilities and everything else, it's not just
the clubhouse is indoors. You enter the stadium, you are indoors.
Right. So, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I was a lot more hopeful a couple weeks ago.
Dawn?
Oh, look, I totally agree with both of you and everything. And like we discussed earlier, it doesn't make sense. They have a vendetta against Kyrie. I think it has to do with maybe his politics and whatever. Because look, he was on that list for the 75 best players. And then all of a sudden, boop, his name is gone off that list and everything like that.
Not right.
So plus, like we said, There's a whole different demographic for baseball and for basketball. So people are going to come out in arms and jump on this thing and say, yo, this, and a third, we can't have this in here. Randy Levine, like you said, is on the case, and he's not going to have it. So something's going to give. They're going to have to either make a different mandate or just get away with the mandate altogether and let Kyrie play, politics aside, which we all know is what it exactly is. It's not even about science anymore. It's about politics. Whether you like the guy or not, the guy is a damn good ball player. Let the man play. Everywhere else is playing games and everything. We need to get our stuff together.
Agreed.
I'll come out there and say it point blank, period. It's easy for them to drag this black man. It's easy for them to make an example out of this black man and say, hey, you think you got money. You think you got power. Well, we control everything. We have the power. We make the rules. And since you challenged our rules with this mandate, with the vaccine, we're going to make it so that you still can't play. You still can't do what you do. You can't create your art. You're an artist, right? I literally look at Kyrie as a basketball artist. I think KD is an assassin, an alien. Kyrie is an artist. And what we saw in Florida the other night is a perfect example. Standing ovation in Orlando. You know why? Those folks, they have no mandates, no vaccine, anything. They never were playing this game like we're playing in New York. So they get to pay to see Kyrie in the Nets, and Kyrie gives them 60. They were chanting his name at the half, and I got some clips from that I'll show y'all. But I also want to say this. You mentioned the demographic. Dawn and I, we met first at Yankee Stadium, I believe, and we both know. Dawn has been going to Yankee Stadium longer than I've been going, but we both know the difference between a small group of Nets fans, or at least we're considered a small group of Nets fans, a Brooklyn Nets team that hasn't even been here a decade, versus the New York Yankees, Randy Levine, Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner. And then on the other side with the Mets, Steve Cohen, Billy Epler, those guys, they're not playing. The Yankees literally signed Anthony Rizzo 2 nights ago. Anthony Rizzo came out last year and said he was unvaccinated. He's a proud unvaccinated athlete, Republican, and he's now signed with the Yankees for $32 million. Do you think the Yankees are worried about him playing? No. If they were worried about him playing, they wouldn't have signed him. So in my opinion, this gets done for the Yankees. I hope it also gets done for Kyrie, but we don't know. It depends on the wording, and they're sneaky with the wording. They're sneaky with the way they write these things into law. They're not trying to see Kyrie win. They're not trying to see the Nets win. But when you get the Yankees involved, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, it was real interesting. On March 15th, this happened, and I only had a little time on WFAN, but I was trying to put together like a A2 Brute for like Beware the Eyes of March. Because on one hand, you had Knicks fans making these jokes, half man, half a season, ha, Kyrie can't play. And those Knicks fans are also Mets and Yankees fans. And when it happened to them, they were like, whoa, wait. No, Judge.
It's not fair all of a sudden, right?
No, that's not fair. They play outside. And I'm like, now you see how we've been feeling this whole season. A2 Brute.
That's right.
Away players have played in Barclays Center. Away players have played in MSG unvaccinated. I've gone on for months about how stupid this thing is. Let's move on from that. And let's talk about this game down in Orlando. Let's relive it some. One thing I'll say about Kyrie is when Kyrie's name is in the media, when he knows the world is watching and everybody's talking about him, he comes out and sends a message, and he's looking to kill. Kyrie is in his prime right now, and we are being robbed of seeing one of the best players in the world in his prime. He's giving you Kobe Bryant vibes. I thought this dude might have went for 81 at one point the other night. He went crazy. The most efficient, 60 points after he had the game last week, 150 to 108. The Nets win down in Orlando. It wasn't close. Let's play some clips from that game. Let's play this. First off, I love this move from Kyrie. Kyrie gets the ball. He'll catch it up high. He won't bring it down. He won't do anything with it. He'll catch it up high, shoot the three. I love that move from Kyrie. It's signature. Bang.
Yeah.
Am I not getting sound on these? This is going to make me
Yeah.
upset if I'm not getting sound. All right, there's no sound on them, so I guess I will commentate. I'll do the commentary. So, Kessler Edwards, good to see you back, bro. They said he hit a rookie wall.
Yes, yes.
Kessler's been balling, though. And this dunk right here coming off that,
Yes,
bang. He's a rookie, and Marks we trust. We got picks. We're gonna have a lot of young talent on this team. Okay, now Kyrie, here's just a Kyrie mixtape.
But also, when it comes to Kyrie, his activity on the defensive side, his hands, the steals he's been getting, it's generated so much push and tempo for the Brooklyn's offense. And, you know, we watch right here, a little give and get back that he had from Kevin Durant. He has been elusive.
I mean, Kyrie can do it all. Now, I hope there's sound on this one. Kyrie getting chance in Orlando way before the game is over.
Chance.
Listen to this crowd.
There was 5 minutes left in the third quarter. They're chanting Kyrie, Kyrie on the road.
Yep.
Stuff does not happen.
Yeah.
Stuff does not happen.
Yeah.
And then, hey, I hope Andre Drummond stays in net. Watch this. This guy, Mo Bamba, that's hard.
Yeah, he's a beast.
The Bronx. Isn't where Andre Drummond from? I think he's from the Bronx. That's New York on New York crime right there.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Watch this standing O. Watch these fans. Before half, these people are out of their seats on their feet.
On the road. Kyrie Irving with 39. We still have 2:24 to go in this first half. Are you not entertained?
I'm always entertained when I see Kyrie. You know what would be crazy if they let Kyrie play at home and we could see that in Brooklyn? I bet there would be a sellout. I bet there'd be a ton of people there. I bet it would help all the businesses around there and it would be good for the city, but I don't know shit. I don't know anything. One thing I loved was seeing D Will's record go bye-bye.
Kyrie Irving has just matched Darren Williams for the most points in a single game in Nets history.
We're just erasing D Will's time as a net, and I'm fine with that. 60 point. You heard the fans in there yelling 60, 60.
Edwards, the handoff, quick trigger, Irving, 60, 60, Kyrie Irving. And he gets another standing ovation here at the Amway Center.
Kyrie Irving, what do you guys think about Kyrie's performance? What we're watching? I mean, there's so many things to say, and then there's really not anything to say at all.
Yeah, I mean, we were. Oh, I'm sorry, Dawn. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we were watching it, and I mean, he's amazing. There's nothing else to say. It's like you wish you could see him at home, you know. But one thing I wanted to mention on the last clip is like, I've never seen him and Durant be so motivated and into it. I think this Harden thing completely, like they're playing angry, you know, like he's smiling the whole time. He's not even breaking a sweat, but I feel like it's starting from that Philly game. They've been playing so motivated, and I just hope we get to see them together because it's amazing. You know, sky's the limit.
Look, this generation hasn't seen anybody really put up numbers like that in a very, very long time. So to watch him do that on the road and to watch him receive the love that he's received from down there is just amazing. And I'm hoping, you know, because I know that was an FU to Adams also when he was doing that and everything. But I hope Adams sees that and says, you know, like I said, politics aside, this man is an artist. You got to let him play. You know, I understand he might be a Knicks fan or whatever there is. I mean, look, de Blasio was a freaking Boston fan. We had to deal with that too and everything, you know, but you got to let the man play. You got to put everything out. Everything could be on the outside. Once you get into that court area, it's all about basketball and trying to win a chip for this city.
What I'll say is for Eric Adams, the city of New York, when you have these policies that don't make sense, when you have policies that allow a man to sit courtside, but then he can't play basketball on that same court, you look dumb. And so what that does is weaken anything you do moving forward as far as a public health stance, right? So if we end up falling into some new variant come October when it gets cold again, and they want to try and force something else on us, people aren't going to be going for it. It's going to create a much larger problem because now the public does not trust you at all. We've seen what you've done to Kyrie Irving. Right. It looks so bogus. Why would we take anything you say or do seriously at this point? So let's move on from that. I got one more clip from that Magic game. I just want to show Clax some love. You know, Clax, I feel like, was sad that James Harden left, but he's been playing great lately. He's been playing great lately, and we need him, especially right now without LaMarcus Aldridge. It's good to see Nick Claxton late in the season coming into his own again after struggling, after being sick, after being hurt, after sitting on the bench in plain clothes for a lot of games this season. And that also reminded me the Nets sent they set a franchise record for most points. Thanks, Kyrie. Most points in a half. Like, they are destroying records. They are literally making history. Kyrie said we're making history. They know that. We had 48 points in the first quarter. And I mean, these guys are ridiculous, and we're blessed to see this right now. It sucks that, Kyrie said, whenever you're trying to do something great, whenever you're challenging things, like, it's not going to be easy. There's always going to be obstacles, but you got to see it through. And I believe the Brooklyn Nets are really trying to see this whole thing through. So let's move on to the next game. Go for it, Dawn.
Oh, no, the one thing that I want to, also praise Kyrie about is that he hasn't said one bad thing about Adams during this whole thing. So, that's a testament to how he was brought up and what, what he has for the craft of baseball and basketball and everything. So shout out to Kyrie with that, Good point.
He knows that Eric Adams didn't make these rules, and he kind of came into these rules, and he has said that he feels like Eric Adams is on his side. But Eric Adams is getting pulled by every side and every person and everything.
That's the whole thing, yeah.
He's got a lot of people to try and please, and that's one thing I learned young. You can't please everybody. You drive yourself crazy trying to please everybody. At some point, you got to make a decision for yourself and stand on it, and I hope that's what it comes to with the Mets and the Yankees forcing the issue. Because can y'all imagine April 7th comes, and I said this on the radio, I was like, can you imagine April 7th comes and this mandate is still in place and Aaron Judge has to sit in Legends behind the screen and watch the Yankees run out of the dugout on opening day? Hell no. Hell no. People would be rioting in the Bronx. They would be absolutely rioting in the Bronx if Anthony Rizzo couldn't play and DJ had to play first base and Giancarlo had to play right field, and you see Rizzo and Judge together in Legends. It would never happen. But we got the optics of Kyrie Irving sitting courtside last week. He's probably not going to do that again. They're going to work on it. I think it'll change, and I think it will change by April. And so that means Kyrie should be able to play a couple games and then play in the play-in, playoffs, whatever's to come. Keep the faith. Try and stay positive. They can't stay stuck on stupid forever. There's too many days of the nonsense that, like, smart people are really calling it out now across the board. My last episode, I had Trevor Noah's clip. I had a doctor talking about it. It made national news. They say nobody cares about the Nets, right? Except national news every week. They're talking about KD, Kyrie, and the Nets. All right, so we lost last night, and it was a tough game. What I'll say about that game, and I really just put out my thoughts on Twitter, the Mavericks beat the Celtics on Sunday. Then they had rest for 3 days. They're a good team. They're the number 4 team in the West. That's a playoff team, one of the top teams in the West with one of the best players in the world. They were favored to win -3. The Nets, the shorthanded Nets, without Kyrie because of nonsense, without Seth, without Drummond, we have to rely on KD. Now, the Knicks weren't smart enough to double KD every possession on Sunday. He erupted for 53, even when they tried to double him. the Mavericks had a plan. Jason Kidd had a plan, and it worked. They executed it well. Even though we had a lead a lot of this game, the Mavericks are a good team. They have good players. Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, and obviously one Spencer Dinwiddie. And, you know, I think KD was frustrated last night. I think KD showed his frustration right here, but I laughed at this. I thought this was funny.
You gotta take this game over. You gotta shut the fuck up. You gotta take this game over. You gotta shut the fuck up.
That's great.
And I laugh because I'm in the arena, so I know exactly, like, those seats, the people are like 5 rows back, they can hear you. And a fan telling you, you got to take this game over. I know that. I'm trying. Like, I'm being double teamed. I'm being double teamed by NBA players every possession. Like, it's not that easy to just take over the game, but he did. He hit that 3 late in the game, and the place went nuts. I was running around my apartment like, he is him. KD. But listen, tech guy with a jumper, you've seen him do this before. I just told y'all that they beat the Celtics on Sunday.
Dinwiddie, shot clock at 8. Brown is on blue canal. Doncic with 5, drive the lane. 3 Celtics are there. Kick out Dinwiddie for 3. It's good. And the Mavs take the lead.
He's a bad man. That's why KD said that's why they pay him $20 million a year. That's why he left Brooklyn to go get the bag. He knew he wasn't going to be taking the last shot here. We got 2 guys that should be doing that. But before those 2 guys came here, Spencer Dinwiddie helped create this Nets world. So for the Nets fans that decided to argue with each other over, oh, we need every game we could get. I don't care about a former Net. I care about the Nets. I care about the Nets and the former Nets. And yeah, we needed that game, but it didn't hurt so much coming from Spence. That was a revenge dagger, and I've seen him do it so many times. We should have known. Steve Nash should have known. Kevin Durant should have known. He was on the team last year. Let me play another clip, because when I'm talking about revenge, he used to play for the Pistons. He did the same exact thing to the Pistons playing for the Nets.
17. Guard your three-point line at all costs.
Dinwiddie for 3. He wasted no time. He knocked it down.
There's a few of these clips. I've seen him do this at least 3 or 4 times. I think last night might have been the 5th time. We did a live stream for Talking Nets at the Yes Network 2 years ago, right before the pandemic hit. It was Nets versus Pacers out in Indiana, and we were live for the whole game. And the most exciting part of the game was the end of the game because this happened.
Nets are down by 1. 9.9 on the clock. Get it in for Dinwiddie. Defended by Brogdon. 6 seconds. Dinwiddie fades away. Oh, Dinwiddie! Got it! A clutch J for Spencer Dinwiddie.
Why were we surprised? How'd y'all feel last night? Talk about the game, talk about the ending, and share your thoughts on Spencer Dinwiddie. Go for it, Alita.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, of course it was Spencer Dinwiddie who did that to us, right? Like, it had to be. I mean, you've seen it, and I'd watch him do that to the Celtics all day. So it is what it is. I mean, hard fought game. You can't be mad at the Nets for this one. It was KD literally kind of by himself. He got a nice effort from, a nice balanced team effort from everybody, but without Seth, obviously without Kyrie, I mean, Bruce Brown and Drummond did what they could. And Claxton had himself a pretty good game. I'm actually happy that Nash is kind of sticking with him a little bit because he needs to be informed for the playoffs. But, listen, KD was a boss at the end, just kind of calling for the screen and was like, no, I got this 3. And, Spencer hit a contested 3. It was a hard shot, and you live with it. What are you going to do?
They should have planned for that. They knew that they were going to give that ball to Spencer at the end. They should have double teamed him or something to that effect. Look, I care about our former Net players, but last night I was like, F Spence. I don't care. The hell with that nonsense. Plus, mad that when he got hurt, he was out in California never once came back to sit sidelines. Look, Joe Harris is sitting there sidelines. He's hurt. He's supposed to be going for surgery pretty soon. So I'm mad. When Spence was off his crutches and he was doing his workout and everything, he could have came and showed us some love to show us, say, hey, I'm still here. I'm still with the team and everything. But no, I hear things that he was out there in California watching some games, courtside and whatever, so I'm a little mad at that. But, after last night, F Spence, I love you outside of basketball and whatever have you, but during this time, nah, man, I ain't got no love for you. We needed that game from him. I don't care. They should have double teamed him on that last play.
You made a great point about Spencer rehabbing and staying out west where he's from. He was disconnected from the team last year, and I felt a way about that too, but then I thought about it, like, I think the Nets shut him down because fans were looking at his timetable and they're like, hey, he's rehabbing. He should be able to come back by June. And with the 72-game season and the delayed start, we expected Spence to be able to help us in the playoffs. He never got that chance, and I think he knew that he was never going to get that chance, and he kind of distanced himself from the team, and he also knew he wasn't going to get paid, right? We weren't going to pay him to stay, and he was going to hit the free market. So, it is what it is, man. I thought it was, we needed that game because we're trying to get out of the play-in, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to throw in here that, we're still waiting to see if KD gets fined or not. But KD got money, man. KD posted this. You see the girl giving the money? He said, damn, shake my head. And they said, somehow this got reported. We are living in an NBA world and a social media world where fans are filming the entire game. And whatever these guys say, I saw someone in the chat talk about like Kyrie on the bench in Philly where he was looking over like, is this your minion? You got your minion recording everything? Like, this is just where we're at. And like, this has gone on forever, but we're in the culture now in the NBA where fans are yelling things at players and trying to get a reaction. Look at Westbrook. They were calling him West Brick. And he's like, yo, don't disrespect my family name. Like, this is just the norm in the NBA. It sucks that these players get fined for interacting with the fans. The fans come there and they want interaction with the players. Sometimes you're going to get cursed at. You might get cursed off. So it is what it is. Oh, Jay from BK from the top rope. Keith, they didn't shut him down. How do you know? I'm just messing with you, Jay. Jay probably knows. Jay probably knows. But see, as a fan on the outside, that's how I felt. I love Spencer. Spencer was my favorite net of that old regime. Ocho Spence, number 8. And when he got hurt against Charlotte in the beginning of the year last year, I just had hope that it was early in the season enough for him to come back. We could have used him instead of Mike James or Tyler Johnson. And when he didn't come back, I didn't think it was so much him, but maybe it was because, look, now he's been on 2 teams since the Nets. He went to the Wizards, didn't work out there. They traded him. Now he's playing with Luka, and I expect them to make some noise in the playoffs. I really do. I really do. So that's a tough L. Losing streak or winning streak ends. We can't have a losing streak. We have the Trailblazers Friday. That should be a win. But then Monday, the Jazz come here. And now I want to look ahead. I want to take a look at a couple things. So let's look at the Eastern Conference standings right now. I know it's small, but y'all should be checking the standings now every day anyway. If you look at the 6 and 7 teams, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors are both 6.5 games back out of first. That means they're both 3.5 games ahead of us being 10 games back. Let's look at the playoff picture right now. Right now, we would be heading to Toronto to face the Raptors, where Kyrie couldn't play in that game if it ended today. Luckily, it does not. And the difference right now between Cleveland and Toronto is nothing. So right now, Cleveland would be facing Milwaukee in the first round. I think that those 2 teams can flip-flop. And if it does happen that way, where Cleveland is the 7 seed and Kyrie can play back in his old stomping grounds, I'm not too worried about that. Now, what are you guys thinking about the play-in? What are you guys thinking about where we could go? Like, I think it's pretty much locked in. Like, if you look at, like, the Bulls, I don't think the Bulls are going to fall too much. They did lose last night to the Jazz, but I don't think I think the top 5 seeds are going to stay pretty much locked in. But I think the Cavaliers while Jared Allen is hurt, could potentially drop to 7, and we could potentially climb. We'll look at all 3 teams' schedules in a second, but just give me your initial thoughts. You guys think we're stuck in the play-in? You think we still got time to play out? You think we're facing Toronto without Kyrie? Or you think we're going to Cleveland? Like, right now is just the time to speculate.
Yeah, so I mean, if I had to guess, I think we have a lot of ground to make up to get to the 6th seed. It's not impossible, but it would be sort of like a Herculean effort to do that. So I think probably the best thing we can hope for right now is just like you said, that the Raptors kind of leapfrog the Cavs. Cavs fall, being that Jared Allen is out. They're still a good team, but I'm definitely confident. I like our chances because at least we go in with Kyrie. He's also familiar with the building. He knows the Cavs. So I think we'd be going in on a better note there. But, we'll see what happens.
Look, man, I'm 54 years old. I can't get my head wrapped around play-in tournaments, this thing, that thing, and the third and everything. Look, man. Look, I come from the old school of East Division, West Division, and that's all there is and everything like that. This is just crazy. We need Kyrie to play. We need to win every game now going forward. We can't afford to have a dagger like last night and everything like that. Like you said, if it was ending today, we played Toronto, Kyrie would be out. Thank God it ain't ending today. But to have him, if it would change with Toronto and Cleveland would flip-flop and we play Cleveland, I think it's a wrap after that, I think he wants to go there also, show his people, I can deal with the crowds and everything, because he had a hard time in Boston a little bit with the crowd getting on him and everything. He doesn't, sometimes he gets that crowd into his head and he can't, deal with it sometimes. But I think we have a wrap with that. If we play in Cleveland, I think it's over.
Yeah. And my thought right now is that we're locked into the play-in. It's going to take a lot to get out of the play-in and get to the 6th seed. It could happen, but I'm just preparing for scenarios, right? There's a chance where, even if we got to 7 and hosted the game, Kyrie can't play because of the mandate. If we end up playing Toronto, we go to Toronto, he can't play. The best case scenario for us is for Cleveland to fall into the 7. And maybe we can climb up to the 6. It's just, it would take a lot, but who knows? I'm a baseball guy. In baseball, they always say you got to believe, and it ain't over till it's over. And you count those games, and you scoreboard watch out of town all the way down to the very last game. So let's look at the schedule of the Cavs, the Raptors, and our Nets coming up. The Cavs just lost last night to the Sixers. They face Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets tomorrow. That could be a loss. They should be able to handle the Pistons. They should be able to handle the Lakers. But then they go face the Raptors in Toronto, where that's going to be a battle of 2 teams that are jockeying for position right in the same position. They're not going to beat the Bulls. The Bulls are right after that game, so they could have back-to-back losses to the Raptors and Bulls. They should handle the Magic, but then we just saw Luka and Spence. They got to handle the Mavericks. And then they should be able to beat the Hawks and the Knicks. But I count at least 3 potential losses there. Between the Nuggets, between the Raptors, between the Bulls and the Mavericks, they're going to lose probably 3 of those games. Right now, they're only 3.5 games ahead of us. Let's look at the Raptors schedule. The Raptors have to face James Harden and the Sixers on Sunday. Who knows what's going to happen there? I think the Sixers could hold it down on their home court. It gets tougher right after that. Back-to-back, second half of a back-to-back. They got to face Chicago in Chicago. Okay, tough. Then coming off that, you go home and you got to face another playoff team, the Cavaliers. Those could be 3 losses in a row. I don't think they'll lose all 3, but I think they'll lose at least 2. They should be able to beat the Pacers. They're not beating the Celtics. They might not beat the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves been playing good, right? They should handle the Magic. I don't know if they're going to beat the Heat. They should beat the Hawks. I don't know if they're going to beat the 76ers. So what I'm telling y'all is this. The Raptors the Raptors stand to lose a lot of games in the next couple weeks, where we could be the 7 seed or maybe even the 6 based off of them dropping. And we won't have to go to Toronto if they're the 8. What we'll need is to be the 7 and get this stupid mandate to change so that Toronto comes to us and Kyrie can play in Brooklyn. Or if it's that close, we go to the 6 and then we'll play Milwaukee, and then Toronto and Cleveland will play each other in the play-in. Our schedule, I got a win on Friday coming with the Blazers. The Knicks just beat them by 30. They're going to chill in New York this week and get smacked on Friday, tomorrow. Monday is tough. The Jazz beat the brakes off us out there. I don't know what to expect from that game. It could be a loss. Then we got to go deal with Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. Could be a loss. Then we got to go to Miami and face the Heat, where I will say this. I don't expect that to be a loss because Kyrie almost beat them without KD. If y'all remember a few weeks back, we went down there and Kyrie missed a lot of shots in the beginning, but when he started turning it on at the end, we almost had them. We're not going to lose to the Hornets. We're not going to lose to the Pistons. We already beat the Bucks without KD.
The Bucks, that's right.
We should be able to beat the Bucks, man. Javon Carter is getting solid minutes for the Bucks, man. When they come to Brooklyn, we should smack them. Then we got the Hawks in Atlanta. That should be a win. Then we got Houston coming to us. That should be a win. Then we got the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Cam Thomas beat them. That should be a win.
That's a definite win.
It's a definite win. The Cavaliers are not going to beat us April 8th. April 8th, the mandate could be dropped. Kyrie could be playing in these games. Pacers, Nets, we're not going to lose. So fret not. We're going to be fine. Whether we're in the play-in or not, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. That's all I've got as far as my clips and as far as my videos and things. Now we will play some voicemails. I see the chat still going. After we play these 2 voicemails, we'll hit the chat. If you guys want to add anything about, the schedule that I just showed or the play-in or our chances these last, 15 games or so, go for it.
Yeah, we have a pretty favorable schedule. I mean, I think I was seeing that we have like the 4th easiest of all the remaining teams or something like that. So finally, because we went through a brutal stretch here a couple weeks back, and we'll see what happens. I mean, whenever you have KD, you have a chance to win, and I think he's on another level right now. So, I'm confident. You just have to play who's in front of you, and it's going to work out.
Piggybacking on that, we do have a favorable schedule. I'm glad to see that Patty Mills found his shot back again because he was hurting for a little while there and everything. And I'm glad Kessler is back with his little, with his shot and everything. Got a chance to see him at a couple of games down in Long Island before he came up here. And I really like that kid. So those 2 could help out a lot down the line and everything if Kyrie doesn't come back. But it all hinges on Kyrie coming back also.
I'm glad you mentioned Patty, right? Patty was looking burnt out, but I think, he's gotten a little bit of rest with Dragic playing. When Seth Curry comes back, we're going to look better too. So fret not, Nets world. We're in this thing. We're not falling out of it. We're definitely in this thing. Voicemail number 1 from Big Fan Breezy. Here we go.
Yo, what up, Keith? It's Big Fan Breezy. I don't know. I got to make it under a minute. Listen, Kyrie, amazing. I don't know why we can't have him at home. I see 7-11, 11-7. We don't lose no games. We got 11-7 and 7-11. We don't lose no games. But since we, you know what I mean, that ain't the situation. Listen, that buzzer beater by Dinwiddie hurt. I got his poster, and I gave it to my son. It was the first Brooklyn Nets poster, and I was going to throw it out, but, my son wrote his name on it. I can't do that. So we're going to keep the Dinwiddie poster. Shout out to Dinwiddie, but that hurts, you know what I'm saying? And I think we're going to bounce back. I think we're going to be 10-2 in these last 12 games. What's up?
I didn't even know he was going to say that, but well done, Big Fan Breezy. Definitely don't have to hate Spence for doing his job. There was something in the air, like ball don't lie to basketball gods, whatever. Because if that clanked out and we won, that would have been a heartbreaker for Dinwiddie. But Dinwiddie got that off. That's his one shining moment as we head into March Madness.
That's it.
All right, one more.
Hey, Keith, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was obviously in Twitter, people roast James Johnson all the time, right? But now that Kessler's shot is back and it seems like his confidence is back, he got over the rookie wall. I really think he needs to start taking more of James Johnson's minutes. You notice last night's game, when Kessler left, that's when they had the lead. You know why? Because there was floor spacing. Then James Magic Johnson starts coming in and turning the ball over and trying to do more than what his skill set gives him. You know, sometimes I know he does a lot of glue guy things and he does a lot of dirty work, but I think we need more Kess and less James Johnson. What do you think about that?
Hey, Kess is back, and I already said, you know, I mentioned his rookie wall. I'm happy to see that Kess is dunking the ball, shooting the ball, and I rather see him get more minutes. But I don't hate James Johnson like Nets Twitter hates James Johnson. James Johnson actually, like, he's trying to be Dunkle Jeff. He's trying to be like Uncle Jeff going up for them dunks. He's trying to catch a body. He caught a body in Orlando. He was trying to catch another one last night. What I look at James Johnson as is a 35-year-old, 12-year vet that knows the game and knows what they need from him out of that offense. If they need him to handle the ball, he'll do it. If they need him to score, he'll do it. If they need him to set picks and, you know, play defense, he'll do it. And, like, I don't hate him as much as some of Nets fans do because I understand he's a role player. He's not supposed to be a star, and he's done enough for us. We'll see what Kessler turns into now that he's passed the rookie wall. But not too worried about that.
Yeah.
All right, we got 10 minutes. I'm going to go through the chat. I'm going to put Claude on the Summer Jam screen. Without a healthy KD and Ben and a full-time Kyrie, the Nets won't win the chip this season. The Nets could also lose with all of those things. What I want to say about that is just take Ben out of the equation. You haven't seen Ben Simmons on a basketball court since last June. So there's nothing that tells me with Ben Simmons we're better. We haven't seen him since June. And with Kyrie not being full-time, it's still up in the air. I think that is going to change. I think that once these baseball players are playing, even if they try and play funny, even if they try and pull the okie doke and continue to drag this man and shit on this man to set an example, people are going to fight. This is a larger fight. Kyrie had his stepmom represent him for a reason. She's a lawyer. Like, there's going to be a large case, a suit against the whole state, against City Hall and these guys, because none of this makes sense. So let's see what else is in. Asia says Seth Curry is hurt. Asia, you got to watch the games, Asia. Our world, Nets world. It's still a tough road. Yes, this is the NBA. Just like you saw last night, Luka and Luka walked. I wanted to say that. If y'all watched that when it was him and Dragic,
yes, he did.
He would look. If you could please go back and look at his left foot. Steve Nash was like, "That's a walk." He was like, "No, that was a walk, bro." Like I don't know how they don't call that in the game. There's a walk that changes the game. And then there was that weird part of the game where it was 103, 102 Nets. Then they went and reviewed it and changed it back to 102, 101. I'm like, I'm glad I wasn't at the game. I would have been losing it. Y'all never heard us say Icks? I feel like people have been calling the Knicks the Icks for years. These are the Icks, LOL. Yeah, because they're gross. They disgust me every year. Every year they're just foul. I watch them on the court. I'm like, ugh, the Icks. Y'all watching March Madness?
It's not even so much
March
the
Madness.
Knicks.
Go for it. What were you about to say?
It's not so much the Knicks. It's their
fans.
It's their fans.
Yeah, you saw them in there Sunday.
Man. They're the worst.
Sunday, they really thought they were doing something too. They really thought they were going to win that game Sunday. They were all loud, jumping up and down in their seats. I'm like, chill. We let y'all think you're going to win every time. All right, let's see. You guys know the drill. Send any questions you have for us as we wrap up the episode. Any other questions about the team, players, the schedule. I think Sunday is the event out in Industry City. I'm still getting the information on it. I don't know myself. Season ticket holder event Sunday. It's at the practice facility. I'm trying to pull up. I'm working on that.
No, it's at Industry City. It's at Industry City from 1 to 5.
I'm cooked. My brain don't always process things when I say them. So I'll see y'all out there Sunday if you're going to that. Let's see what else is popping up. Claude, do you ever have anything positive to add? That's something crazy too, right? Like, this is a safe space for Nets fans. Why you in here if you just hating on the Nets? Like, if you want to hate on the Nets, take that to the Sixers podcast. Take that to the Icks podcast. Like, we're in here coming together every time we talk about the Nets, and we're talking about optimism and being positive. There's no reason to say, oh, we're not going to win without Ben Simmons. That don't make any sense to me. Let's see. Yeah, Will said, Keith, my mom's background got yours beat. Yeah, I see she got Didi Gregorius. She got some baseball. She got some basketballs. I'm not there yet. I only been doing this. She got bats. Like I'm only been in the game for like 10 years, yo. I gotta get my collectibles up. I gotta get my collection up. Utah game is a tough game. Yes.
In the room.
Let's see. All right, we're about to wrap. Let me see. I saw my guy Miggs was in here. Let me scroll back up. He says, don't get how anyone happy for anything after the heartbreaker. I respect what the man did for us, but we booed J Kidd, for God's sake. Stop it. I wasn't happy. That's the thing I want to clear up. It wasn't that I was happy, because after KD hit that 3, jubilation. And then when Spencer hit that 3, it's like defeat. But I didn't feel so bad about the defeat because it was Spencer. If it was Luka or Finney-Smith or Brunson, I would have been like, damn. But since it was Spence, I kind of like have a soft spot for one of our former Nets, one of the last of the old regime that helped us build this Nets world. Like, without Spencer, we don't get to this Nets world, in my opinion. He played for those teams that attracted KD, Kyrie here, and other fans here. Like, I watched Spence for years, and he was my favorite Net. Y'all forget he was almost an all-star. Kobe told him he was playing like an all-star. Yeah. He played in the he participated in the skills competition and won it for us. Spence was our guy. So no, I'm never happy about a loss, especially when we need every win we can get right now. But I think it just softened the blow for me because I still fuck with Spence. And I think that's okay as a Nets fan. You can have Nets players that like you root for. You can have guys that you root for, and when they go elsewhere, still want to see them do well. Let's see. Jay from BK says Spencer Dinwiddie is my favorite Nets player ever. Exactly. He's not my favorite Nets player ever. That is Kyrie Irving. But before Kyrie Irving came here, Spencer Dinwiddie was the guy. All right, I think that's all we got, folks. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Appreciate y'all coming through. Okay, one more question. Talking Nets, what's the best case scenario for our playoff hopes, 6 or 7 seed? 6. And I just went through all of the standings and the schedule and what has to play out. 6, I think there's a chance that the Raptors lose enough games where they drop to 8. I think there's a chance that we're 7 and we win enough games where we can bump to 6. And then we'll go dance with the Milwaukee Bucks and get our revenge in round 1. I would absolutely love that. I would love that.
Line me up for that right now.
All right, that's all we got, folks. Yes, thank you, Talking Nets. Thank you, ladies. Yes, Nets World Women. Appreciate y'all. Alita, Dawn, thank you for joining us. Nets World, Nets fans, thanks for keeping the chat alive.
This was a lot of fun, Keith.
Y'all know how we end this. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn.